Okay, great. Now that we're settled, how come there's so many of you there? Oh, but doesn't matter. Anyway, my name is Soentantri. I'm a transport specialist with the Asian Development Bank. I work for the Sustainable Development and Climate Change Department. I'm an engineer by trade. So I am also one of those people who was born in one country, grew up in another, and then living in another place. So I was born in Indonesia, I grew up in Australia, and now I'm living in the Philippines. So I don't really speak any other language other than English, unfortunately, so there you go. So, by raise of hands, can I see how many of you has heard of the Asian Development Bank before you come into this place, before this week? How many of you? How many of you is not from the Philippines? So, no, how many of you who has heard of Asian Development Bank and does not come from the Philippines? One. You are more learned than I am, my friend, because I have no idea what ADB does before I came here 3.5 years ago. So allow me to give you a bit of a snapshot of what ADB is. Hang on, what happened? Maybe, does it work? I haven't switched it off. No, it's on. Ah, there it is. Right. So ADB. This is the countries where ADB operates, and we were established in 1966. We belong to 67 member countries. 48 of them is in the Asia-Pacific region. The other 19 are outside of the region. We started off with 31 countries, by the way, so it's a bit of an achievement to double the number in 50 years. And we are celebrating our 50 years anniversary. So, next, this is very important. ADB is a bank, but we are not a commercial bank. So you can't come to me and ask for a loan for your car or credit cards and etc. You can't even save your money with us. We are what people around the world knows as multilateral development banks. That means that we provide loans for projects in developing member country, meaning that we provide loans to government. So we give grants or combine grants and loans to the poorest member of the country. We are also a knowledge institution, which is why you are all here today in the Asia Youth Forum. And to some degree, we have some private sector operations. So remember this part. We are not a commercial bank. We don't provide loan for housing, for cars, for personal loans. So if you run out of money, don't come to us. Okay? Right. So, transport is the largest sector in ADB. Across the board, we normally, holds around about 30 to 37% of ADB transport of the lending portfolio in ADB. The good thing about transport is that it enables economic and social activity, provide access, opportunity, services, but of course it has got some negative effects as well. So, for over the next 10 years, there's a massive investment required in transport infrastructure in Asia and the Pacific. Poor countries needed basic access, and there's also the issues in urban areas where you're talking about growing city needs for urban transport and etc. Now, here's just some little pictures. Oh, by the way, I have a copy of this presentation in your desk, which you can share while you're doing your challenges later, right? Now, this is a little bit of research that ADB did with the International Energy Association. I'm so sorry, I've forgotten what the acronym stands for. ADB is the land of TLAs, three-letter acronyms. So if I start talking in riddles, please stop me. What this diagram actually says that over the next 40 years or so, the car ownership will increase and the usage of public transport, walking and cycling will decrease significantly, right? And there is a need to reverse this trend. Now, you know that congestion costs 2.5% per GDP. This is India, I believe. Air pollution, it costs about 2 to 4% of the GDP, right? There's the issues of raising GHG emission. And there is this subject closest to my heart. I came to ADB as a road safety specialist, and I could tell you, all of you guys here, you are basically affected by road safety, right? Road safety is the leading cause of deaths for 15 to 44-year-olds, right? And it's also for 6 to 14. And if you're within this age bracket and you're male, you are my target audience, because majority of road safety crashes occur with new drivers, young, male. Don't ask me why, but that's, the impact, on the other hand, is often for the women. Because when the breadwinner is the male, 15 to 44, when they lose their jobs, it's the woman who then has to step up and find other access and better life. Now, so ADB has, in 2010, ADB started the Sustainable Transport Initiatives. And it aims to look into the changing transportation needs of ADB developing member country. And we're currently doing the midterm review of it, but so far, it seems to be okay. So what is sustainable transport? It is transport that is accessible, affordable, environmentally friendly, and safe. And it utilizes this, paradigm of avoid, shift, and improve. I have massive discussions with many friends at at universities and all that, but the concept of avoid, shift, and improve. I'm convinced whoever come up with the concept does not work in advertising or public policy, because avoid is a negative message. Normally, you will try to use the positive message first. So you will try to improve the situation, and then you'll ask people to shift, and hopefully one day they will avoid. But, that's my own personal opinion. But this is the principle behind the sustainable transport. So, in terms of the STI targets, ADB focuses in urban transport, addressing climate change, cross-border transport logistics, and road safety and social sustainability. Now, there's going to be a number of these slides, right? And again, because we are a multilateral development bank, we provide lending to countries. So when we do our tracking, we look at progress against our lending. How much money that we'll lend to the countries. So in 2015, we had 28 loans, 29 technical assistance, all across, around about 2.8 billion. It was 17% of the total ADB overall loan, and we were serving 25 countries, sorry. This is what our lending pipeline looks like. And by the way, when you do your research, don't just rely on google.com. We have a library as well. So, they're full of great information. Now, there are certain types of transport operations that is quite new for ADB. And it's things like mass transit, and then multimodal passenger hub, logistic hubs, efficient technology, ITS, intelligent transport system, and electric vehicles, green corridors, and also in terms of financing, again, because we are a multilateral development bank, it's also not just about building the road itself, but it's about financing the road and how we structure it. So I'm going to run through several examples of what we've been working on. So for example, there's a project in rural India where we, when it's about providing basic access. So this road is what I would refer to as an unsealed road. It's fully compacted, but it's not sealed, meaning there's no asphalt layer on it, so you don't use a binder. But in certain areas, this road is much better to have than putting asphalt on it. Because this road, we're talking about an area that probably has a 1 in 5 years raining event. So it's probably flooded and all that. If you put asphalt on it, you have to start thinking about the maintenance of the road, right? And it's actually going to cost more to the country's overall operating and maintenance budget. But if you build the road like this, it will give sufficient access for people who need it. They could still go to school, to hospitals, to market, etc. They could even ride bikes on it. And it doesn't limit their opportunity. And it also provides, a good balance to the government priority as well. So again, when you look at ADB project, you cannot just look at it from one position. You'll need to look at it what's going to happen to this thing in 25 years' time? Who is going to maintain it? Does the government have enough capacity? Does the people have enough capacity? Or, because my best saying is, you can't give cake to someone if they don't even know how to plant the wheat, where the flour comes from, to make the cake. So first, you have to ensure whether there's enough capacity within the country. And then you look into it and you look at the whole overall picture and see whether or not, the product they are requesting will last. It's sustainable for a long time, not just financially, but infrastructurally as well. Now, we are increasing focus on lending for railways, and I think I will skip through this because I'm not a railway person, so I'm not going to pretend that I know railways. And there's another thing that we've been working on is the bus rapid transit in China. There's some information there on when our first BRT project was done. Urban transport project is traditionally very complex and more difficult to do than a straightforward road project, because in an urban transport situation, you're not just dealing with the national government. You're dealing with the city level government. You're dealing with more stakeholders more NGO, etc. Now, national roads, normally you're dealing with like one agency, which is the national government, or the equivalent of a Bappenas in Indonesia, or the equivalent of a NEDA in the Philippines, right? But if you want to build something, say, in the city of Pasig, you've got to deal with the mayor of Pasig. You've got to deal with the Department for Transport. You've got to deal with LTA, Land Transport Agency, etc., etc., etc. Henceforth, it takes longer for a public transport project to be implemented, and also the impact of it. You can build a road in a year, provided it's not snowing throughout the year and raining hard. So this is another one. This is actually one of my projects, which is our first road safety project, and it's in China. And it is to upgrade some road sections in the Shanxi mountain region. But as part of this, as part of just the engineering improvement, we also concentrate on the education component. And it's also about capacity building of the government officials as well. So we're providing training on design, road safety auditing, as well as schools and community education program. It's a pilot, so wish me luck that it will all go well. So this is my last slide. I hope I did all this in 5 minutes. Did I do it in 5 minutes? Great. Now I'm going to do a little bit of selling here. So next month, ADB is hosting the 5th ADB Transport Forum. Now, to lead up to Transport Forum, we are trying to engage more with the young people such as yourself. I like to consider myself young, but maybe it's a little bit over the hill already. So part of our engagement with youth is that we're doing this youth forum video competition. So it has to be like an original video. It can be your Snapchatter video, as long as it doesn't last longer than 3 minutes. I think my colleague Elga, who sits at the corner there, Elga can stand up. She knows all about this, and she's been trying to get as much youth as possible to come here. And then also for this, you get to come back to Manila and enjoy ADB and be an active participant of the ADB Transport Forum. ADB Transport Forum is held every 2 years and is a gathering of policymakers and experts, and we discuss basically everything that's to do with transport. SDG, the Sustainable Development Goal, still plays a very important role in it, because while SDG does not have, while sustainable transport does not have a standalone SDG target or goals, it is completely mainstream in SDGs. So what we're saying is that if you can't achieve sustainable transport, it's going to be very difficult to achieve your sustainable development goal. So that's the end of my presentation, and I hope to see you guys again in Manila.